you ready? All right, I'll call the order Millersville Board of Commissioners work session Monday, October 2nd at 5:02 p.m. And first item is ordinance 17-682, amending the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget to allow for the NEPA requirement on the multimodal Phase 1 project to be funded. Anybody got any questions?
Excuse me, we received anything from, the other grant?
The MPO has not opened up yet. However, while we're at it, I might as well update you on this. I have been working on a Tiger grant, which is a Federal Highway Administration grant straight from the federal government. The minimum that we can apply for is $1 million on up. So I'm combining Phase 1 and Phase 2 in the application, and maybe we can get funding through them for what we need for Phase 1 and what we need for Phase 2, which is long down the road. There is no match.
No match.
No match. So I'm trying really hard to put together an application that's just going to completely dazzle them.
Wow.
So
When do you think we might hear from that possibility?
the application has to be in by October 16th.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when they give the notice of, who they choose, but I'm still gonna try. Because, we still got a ways to go before the Phase 1 even starts, so.
Exactly, okay.
This is just the engineering part, right?
No, this is NEPA.
They-
That's what the EPA requires on all these projects.
Okay. After this, then it goes into Phase 1.
After this NEPA, then we have to select an engineer. Then it goes into design. And then it goes into property acquisition if we have to do any right-of-way acquisition. Then it goes into bidding it out, finding a constructor, builder, and then it'll start. So you're looking at least another year before anything happens. So I'm trying everything I can to get us more money.
That'd be great. Right away funding. Right away funding.
And if I can get this Tiger, it's 100%. We don't have any match.
And that's 100% for Phase 2.
Now I'm combining both.
Phase 1
Okay.
and 2, it's a minimum of $1 million, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you know Phase 1 and Phase 2 what that expense will be approximately?
I've got our engineers running the numbers for Phase 2.
For Phase 1, I think we were looking at about 1.6 million.
Phase 1 is 1.632.
Yeah.
That one I've got stuck in my head.
And both projects were similar length. Phase 2 should probably cost, I would imagine, a few $100,000 less because it doesn't have the
Bridges.
crossings. Instead, Phase 1 has 2 bridges over Slater's Creek, the freestanding pedestrian, 12-foot wide bridges. So those add significant costs. So you're probably looking at 1.2 range.
It's Phase 2, south side of town.
Yes.
Phase 1 is this one right here.
So
Okay.
our portion, again, I'm sorry,
Right now,
on Phase 1,
we're looking at $600 and some odd $1,000, round figures.
If I may, that included an estimate of property to be acquired.
Right.
That included some acquisition costs.
And that includes some acquisition costs. So again, the estimate for the engineering was a little bit high too, and so was the right-of-way acquisition. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but that's what I'm going after at the MPO first. Well, actually, I'm going up to Tiger first, but I'm also gonna ask the MPO for help too, so.
so Tiger and MPO.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then on the Phase 2, would it be about the same amount for our portion?
Well, I think what we were talking about was doing NEPA for both phases.
Both phases at the same
because
time.
So
that-
NEPA's for both.
NEPA is, and that's the environmental assessment, is what that is.
And that's this 40,000,
Correct.
correct?
We gonna do 40 on every one of them? Just one time?
Yeah, that's for both. So then, our portion for the 1.2,
If we get funding through the state, it's 20%.
okay,
If we get funding from Tiger, 0%.
okay.
And that's what I'm at.
Okay, so 20% would be what, 200,
For
220?
the 1 million,
Right.
since that's your minimum that you have to match there.
40,000.
And does the Tiger cover construction only, or is that covers soft costs as well?
Yes.
So then, we're looking at about 840, but if we get $1 million, where would we put the other? I mean, does that have to be applicable to another phase, or does it have to be spent on?
If we get the Tiger grant, it has to be spent on the phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
Okay, because what I'm showing in phase 1 is that it's partially funded. If we get the MPO money for phase 1, that will cover the right-of-way and the engineering, and possibly a portion of what our 20% of the 1.6 million is.
Okay.
Okay? I'm trying both ways. If we get the MPO, it has to be spent on phase 1. If we get
Gotcha.
the Tiger, it's gotta be spent on both phase 1 and 2.
Okay. So, I guess what I'm wondering is if we get, can we use that money for anything else? I mean, is there anything, or does it have to be just on this one?
It's got to be
And the Tiger both have to be.
for that
strictly for
specific
that.
project, yeah, and any monies that aren't used go back.
Go back to them.
Mhm.
Can any of the money that's been, generated out of the stormwater fees pay for any of that?
No, this is strictly roads, streets.
So the map or whatever from the NPO would be approximately how much for that is?
Last time I asked them for 200,000, we got 5, so I don't know. That's for the lighting of it, 565. I mean, it depends on how much funding they have, how many applications they have, and how
So
generous they
when is
feel.
the NPO? When do we go before them?
I don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
It's not open yet.
It's not, oh, okay, so it's not scheduled, or we don't have any idea?
No. The applications aren't open.
So are you going with it? Yeah, we need all the digging we can get.
I can tell you, I've got
She's
support
better.
from most of the members already.
She's better at it than I am.
Well, I know, but you know what I'm saying, the more that we
No, I
have
go
people
when- I go when
representing
I'm-
people.
I go when I'm told to go.
I know, but that's a lot of money.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know what
When
I'm
I'm
saying?
told I need to go, I show up.
Okay, very good. I'm just asking. Okay, I'm done.
Anybody else? All right, item number 3, ordinance 17-683, amending the personnel manual.
Okay, so tell us what we've got going on here, because I'm seeing all this in yellow.
Those are the amendments that I'm proposing, based on the conversation we had at the last meeting. There seemed to be a consensus for a specific policy on working from home. I sent out an all call out to all of my fellow managers, who just happened to be in Gatlinburg at the time, so I didn't get as much of a response as I wanted, but I did get some response, and pretty much, with the exception of Columbia and Chapel Hill, who are looking into it right now, all of the other municipalities, the manager is allowed to work from home. If there's another department head or any others, it's up to the manager. But they don't have a specific formal policy. that I could have brought forward or copied and pasted. So I found the easiest way to do this was to just put a blurb in our personnel manual that basically says, the city manager will be allowed on a case-by-case basis to work from home due to a documented illness if a secured connection to the city server is established. And the same thing for department heads, it's up to the city manager. It's up to the city commission to approve any of mine.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. So we see down here Lewisburg. Lewisburg manager's having surgery soon and will be working from home from 4 to 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So how do they have that set up and established? So is this person using his sick time, or is this person using vacation time, or they're
He
simply working
told,
from home?
he told them that he would be reducing his sick time by working from home, but he's got sick time. You know, if not, it's a different story.
Well, but,
Does he, I guess the question would be, does he have 4 to 6 weeks of sick time?
I don't know, I didn't ask him. But I can tell you, White House, when the city manager was the actual police chief, he had some serious surgeries and did have sick time, but they allowed him to go ahead and work from home. And his assistant chief used to bring him all to work every day, and then somebody else would pick it up when he was done with it. So it's no different than what I have arranged to do here.
well, because if you're using sick time, technically, you're not working.
Exactly.
Okay, that's just like a vacation day. A sick time is just like you're sick and you are not working. But if you are working from home, then that should be considered regular pay,
Mhm.
is what that should be. So long as you're providing the same hours, the same workload, and all that kind of stuff that you would be if you were here as
Exactly.
well. It's the
Exactly.
same thing. So I just want to make sure we clarify that. And so this Lewisburg manager, we don't know, since he's working from home, that he won't be using sick
No,
time.
we're not sure about that.
Okay.
Well, if he is, he's not very bright, because if I was using my sick time, I wouldn't be working.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, the city manager of Laverne actually had some surgery, I believe it was spinal surgery or something like that, and he actually worked from the hospital for a few hours and deducted those few hours from his sick time. Then he went into rehab and he worked from rehab and deducted those hours from any sick time he had left. And then after that, he ran out of sick time and was out of the rehab and was home and worked from home full-time. So,
Because, again, here's the thing, and I'm just being honest because it's business, it's just strictly
Mhm.
business, okay? The fact that we have an opportunity to get this Tiger grant for $1 million and then the MPO, I don't want this city to lose that because you're down and out on a knee. If we can take, and you're still working from home and ensuring all this is done, and you're writing these grants and you're doing whatever it is to make that necessary, in my opinion, as long as you are providing the same amount of work as if you were here, I have no problem at all, because I do not want us to lose this $1 million or this MPO money because you are not here to provide that to occur and things of this nature continue moving forward.
matter of fact, I started the Tiger grant while I was still working from home.
And that's somehow, I don't know how we come to conclusion on that from everybody here.
Well, there's two questions to this.
Okay.
The- Do we agree with the changes that she has made to the policy? Is what's being asked.
The other two are
Based on-
just housekeeping.
Based on this, we would have to, on a case-by-case basis, we would have to approve, if she was gonna be working from home, this board would have to approve that. She can't just go work from home. The board
Right.
has to approve it. Then any other department head or employee that she feels like could conduct their business from home for whatever reason, it would be up to her to decide that, not this board.
Okay, but at the same time, partly the reason we're bringing this up is because of the issue of your getting ready to have another surgery, correct?
Right, but we can't say we're gonna allow her to work from home until it says it in the personnel manual. we've gotta fix the personnel manual.
Well, that's what you guys pretty much,
That's what we
Indicated you wanted.
indicated at the last meeting.
But this has to do with her talking about the city employees and what she can govern there. This is not about,
no, it's
Both.
about me too. It's
That's
about,
both.
in other words, I can't just work from home without this board approving it. And none of my department heads or employees can just work from home without me approving it.
okay, I see.
That's
here.
basically,
So
I'm
that
putting a
last-
policy into the,
So that last sentence, work from home for extended periods of time due to illness of the city manager shall be approved by a majority vote of the city commission on a case-by-case basis.
yes, ma'am.
Got it. Okay. Okay, and yet you're saying that from this, correct, the other cities are saying from Franklin, Spring Hill, Laverne, White House, and Lewisburg, there's no formal policy that they've established in those cities, but each one of these people at some point have worked from homes due to some kind of surgery or illness or something, they have worked from home.
Well, I think, like Franklin, it says the manager can work from home, the department heads can work from home, and then when you get to others, it depends on their position. So they've probably got a policy that states that.
It says no.
No, they don't have a
There's
formal
no formal
policy.
policy.
Somebody had to have an understanding somewhere.
And well, but the thing of it is, we are setting up a policy here, which is good. Okay.
So I think the question is, are we good with what the changes are?
And that'll
Do we
go
wanna-
for 2 readings, because it has to be done by ordinance.
Do we want to move forward with it like that, or do we want changes made to that?
Do we have time? We don't have time then, do we, considering your situation? To have 2 readings, correct?
For the policy itself, I mean, you all as a board can make a decision with a policy without.
So do we not need, don't we need to put this on the agenda?
It'll go on the agenda for.
Well, not just this, but us, because since you're having your surgery with November the 7th, then we have to come to some kind of agreement at the next meeting.
It'll be first reading.
This first reading.
Be first reading in 2 weeks.
No, I understand that, that's on this. But we're not gonna have time to do 2 readings on this prior to her surgery.
Sure we do. We have a special call meeting after the November work session.
This is the day before my surgery.
Okay, we are cutting that close. That is very close. Let me make sure.
First Monday.
Any other questions?
I mean, we're still gonna have to address whether she's gonna work from home. We've still gotta make that decision, even if we change the policy.
Correct.
So, on the November meeting, we would have to make that decision,
Gotcha. I'm clear.
correct?
Or you could have it at the next meeting too. I mean, the decision can be made at any time.
We could
Put it on
approve
the-
her working from home and then approve the policy changes
On second reading after the.
after the work session.
Okay. Okay, that was my concern, is how we're gonna have this in place in time for that, but
So does this
regardless, or
board
do we do
want?
them separate, or do we do them together?
Well, does the board want to address allowing her to work from home at the next regular meeting or at the same meeting that we have the second reading?
I would like to do it at the regular commission meeting, because I would like anybody that wanted to come in and voice an opinion or has an issue from the citizens, they can speak their piece.
It's fine with me.
That's my thought.
Fine here.
Yeah.
That's before first reading, correct?
It's at the
You know,
first-
It'll be at the commission meeting that we decide.
It'll be a separate item for you guys to vote on.
But that way, the public can come in and voice whatever they have at that meeting, if they have any issues. I like to put it on the table.
Well, while we're at it, I believe that some of my employees have approached me about donating some of their sick time while I'm out. Because by the time I have surgery, I'll only have 2 sick days agreed. However, I do have 48 hours of vacation that I will take. So that will bring me about a week and a couple of days. I don't know if they're gonna put me in a rehab facility right after surgery, or if they're gonna allow me, if I can get somebody to drive me to therapy, to go straight into therapy at a therapeutic facility. So if I'm able to get enough people to be able to drive me there and avoid going into the rehab, something I really don't want to go to rehab, but if I have to, I will, then I will have enough time to cover that. And if I feel well enough, I have my computer with me, and I can deduct those hours off of this whatever vacation time I have and keep track of everything. I don't know what's going to happen right after surgery, but I do know that some of the employees asked me to bring that up. And I'm very grateful for what they've offered, but that's something that is entirely up to you.
Right, and it's gonna, of course, depend on your surgery, how well it goes, but I do know they have you up very quickly,
Oh, yeah,
which is not fun from what I
2
hear.
days.
Yeah.
I'm already
No,
been
that
told.
day.
Well,
So
I'm
what-
sorry,
yes.
they have you up immediately after you wake up. But you'll be, my doctor's already told me I'll be completely out for 2 days as far as drugs are concerned, because he doesn't want me to feel a thing.
Mhm.
Well, the only problem I have is, I don't know why we're talking about hours. A salaried person does not work on an hourly basis, so I don't know why we're talking about hours.
That's what I was fixing to say. I mean, I understand you're on a salary basis. You're gonna get paid whether you're here or not, correct?
No. Well, yes and no.
Yes and no, no.
A salaried person gets the same amount of sick time as an hourly person does. They get the same amount of vacation time as an hourly person does.
But that's time that you're not working.
But that's time that you're not working, exactly. So if I'm not working and I'm taking sick hours, 8 hours per day, okay?
Okay, then do we keep up with the hours that you work on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the morning? Do we keep?
Normally, no.
Well, wait a minute, do we keep up with the hours that Thomas works, working a rec from midnight to 4?
No.
Or do we keep up with the hours that Mark works?
But it's still different.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
There's
I
no
will say,
difference.
when I worked from home, I documented my hours. I've always been salaried. When I had my back surgery, I documented the hours that I worked, submitted a timesheet, and I did have to use my sick leave, I used vacation, but that wasn't I did it to help the city. I had plenty of time to use. Now,
So
I did
you
it.
worked.
I
you-
documented every hour that I worked, and then used paid
So
leave for the
you,
rest.
so you worked from home and used a sick day and still got paid?
No, you don't use the,
No.
no, you don't use the sick
No,
time.
I
'Cause that
used-
was salary too.
In
you
other
know.
words,
She just
the work-
said she used the sick time.
No,
No.
what it was, okay, so,
No.
say if we're on a 40-hour work week, okay?
We're not, salaried personnel are not on a
Well, my
40-hour work
system,
week.
well,
But you
It
are, but
is.
you
The
are.
system's flawed.
You are.
no,
but
no,
you
no,
aren't.
I'm talking about, okay, so I'm on a 40-hour work week, let's just say.
So you get paid by the hour.
Well, yes, in the system, that's how you accrue your leave.
Can't have it both
but-
ways.
Okay.
If you work by the hour, you work by the
The
hour.
first 2 days I was out with my surgery, probably the first week, I did nothing. I used sick leave. I did nothing because I just had surgery. The second week, because I couldn't drive, I had back surgery, I worked from home periodically. I documented my hours. I didn't sit there for 8 hours a day because I just had back surgery. I might have worked 3 hours. I might have worked 4 hours one day. I got paid for, I used 4 hours. I got paid for working for 4 hours, and then I may have used vacation for 4 hours. So, or I may have used a sick day the next day and used 8 hours.
I have-
That's the way we have always done it.
Yeah, that's the way it
I have
That's the way
never,
the state does it also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
That's the way
always,
every municipality
When I
does
worked
it.
Yeah.
in corporate and even
That's the way every
salary.
corporate does it.
so,
it's the way.
so when people work hours above 40, how are they compensated for it?
You're not.
they're
You're
not.
not.
Under the state system, they're given comp time.
Okay, are we giving comp time?
No,
So if a department head turns in a timesheet that says they worked 40 hours, and they know they worked 60 hours that week, is that a legal document?
Some people turn in timesheets. A lot of cities require timesheets. A lot of cities have time clocks, even for salaried people. They all do, the majority
Do
do.
they punch them when they're working?
Yes, they do.
So-
Yes, they do.
So,
We don't, but
but that's what I'm saying. If you have emergency personnel, or if you have public works personnel that's going out in the middle of the night,
They should get comp time,
but we don't do comp time.
then perhaps we should look into it.
I would recommend against it, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you why.
Well, and the other thing too, if you only have 2 firemen, and you're never gonna have a fireman here if you do comp time.
Oh, I agree. I think
You're
that's.
never gonna have a
I
fireman.
think that's why you have salaried personnel, because it's not based
Yeah.
on an hourly thing. When I worked as a salaried person, I never punched a time clock. Everybody that worked by the hour punched a time clock. Salaried personnel did not. If I came in at 8 o'clock, that was fine. If I come in at 7 o'clock, that was fine. If I come in at 9 o'clock, it didn't matter. As long as I got my workload accomplished, it didn't matter whether I done it in 30 hours or 50 hours. I never punched a time clock. When
When you got sick, how did you handle that?
well, I didn't get sick,
Well,
but I mean, that's,
the hourly rate is, for salaried personnel, is in regards to benefits. Is the best way to think of it, not salary. That's
yeah,
the
but
best
that
way.
gets, that muddies the water.
It may appear muddy.
When you turn in a timesheet that says you worked 40 hours and you worked 50,
It's,
the labor board don't like it.
No, the labor board, the labor board looks at salaried people in a couple of different ways. You can specify that a position will put in 60 hours for this position, or you can say it puts 40. It is kind of a gray area.
So what does it
And-
mean when you say that a salaried person that's on salary is scheduled to work 40 hours and that person works 60 hours? What happens with the other 20 hours?
under the state system, the 20 hours goes into a comp
We don't
At
do comp.
halftime or at time and a half,
time and a half.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Some
we
why.
don't
of
do
them are
comp time.
halftime.
Well, I'm just telling you what the state system does.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what we do or do not do.
Well, I think that's
And so,
what we need
and
to
other
figure out is
cities,
how we're
other
gonna address
cities
it.
do it that way.
I just know when I was in the corporate world, even at Dell's Work, he is an hourly person, his boss is salaried. And the way they look at that is that when you go into this position, they will tell you, I'm gonna pay you X number of dollars in a salaried position based on performance that you do this job, but you're here a minimum of 40 hours, period, minimum. So it may be here 50 hours or 60 hours to get the job completed at that time, but regardless, it's a minimum of 40 hours for this salaried position. Do you
Okay.
understand that, taking that job? Now, if you are sick, though, then you're physically not working. So you have a minimum of 40 hours that you're not working, and you're paying your same pay during that sick time, even though you're physically, mentally not doing anything whatsoever, just like vacation time. You're not doing any of the work.
Well, I agree with that.
But a salaried employee agrees of going in to do this job this week, because even in his work, I mean, sometimes, I mean, there's a sheet metal company, and he's a programming engineer. So as the work comes in, if it's a lot of work, his boss will stay there 60 hours. But if it's a light load, he still has to be there a minimum of 40 hours. But he's paid a different basis by being a salaried employee versus being an hourly employee. He makes a lot more money.
But he don't fill
For
out
that.
timesheets, does he?
For sick time, I'm sure, for
For sick
vacation.
time
Oh,
and
he
vacation
requests
time,
sick time.
because he has to do a minimum of 40 hours. That's part of the position. So that's how they base, though, his vacation time, because he gets 4 weeks. They base that on a minimum of a 40-hour work week on that vacation time for him to be out that week.
And 8 hours a day is really the way that it's,
But he's, you know, and even in my job before, I would put in 80 to 100 hours, and it didn't matter. I was a salaried employee, and I was required to work a minimum of 40 hours but I was paid
But
based
you
on.
You didn't submit a timesheet, did you?
I did when I was on sick time and vacation time, absolutely. I sure
You
did.
submitted a request for a sick day or a request to use your vacation time.
Yes.
You did not give a timesheet every week saying, I work 40 hours, I work 40 hours, I work 40 hours.
No, because it would be, but it had to be a minimum of 40 hours, yes.
With only the
I
salary.
mean, that's just the way it was done. And even at my husband's work, that's the way it's done for the salaried employees.
When I went, when I was on salary, I went from hourly to salary. That salary was ever how many hours I worked that week. I had a minimum of 40 hours a week to work. And every month end, we worked 12 hours a day for 5 days. So that week, I put 20 hours in that I get anything for.
Then
Because
why
I-
did you
I-
work?
Huh?
Why did you work?
Because I was told to work.
That was your agreement when you took
That's
that
what you
position.
agreed to when you go in
You
there.
agreed for that pay.
That pay right there, you agreed to work, to do this job.
I don't know, I would never
No matter whether
agree,
you work 40 hours or you work 60 hours, you still got paid the same thing.
I would never agree to do a job that I was expected to do in 40 hours that took me 60 hours.
And you're
That
right.
just doesn't
And-
make any
And
sense.
that's the thing, my husband's been there for 35 years, and he was asked to take that position, because he's been there so long, he knows the information inside and out, but he declined it for that reason. But again,
Well,
he did
I
not,
would too.
he didn't get the pay either that that salaried employee got, because he said, no, I'm not doing that. So that's just the way, I mean, that's just the way. it
And do
is.
we offer any short-term or long-term disability pay?
Short term.
Okay. Well, see, that's the way we had it when I worked on salary. We have what we call a short-term and a long-term. The long-term I paid for.
Mhm.
What is your
Short-term
short
leave.
term?
Mine was 7 days.
What's our short term?
I'm not sure what it covers. I honestly don't know.
Ours was 7 days. After you was out more than 7 days, let's say I was out for a month. They come back, picked up my 7 days for me. Then I went on long-term disability.
It's been a long time for me.
But an hourly, a salary person gets the same pay for their position, whether they're there or not.
Do what?
They get the same pay whether they're there or not.
Who?
On short
Salary
term?
person,
On short term?
So whether she's here or not doing her job, she should get paid.
she's on salary. That's where she took the salary job.
On short
So if
term.
she stays home 6 months out of the year, she should be paid.
No, that's only because if we allow that right there. What I'm saying is she takes off right here for 2 weeks for surgery.
Mhm.
Okay, she's on salary, she's gonna get paid in 2 weeks. Now, if she feels like she'd like to help out some, whatever.
Not
she took-
based on her policy, she won't, not if she don't have sick days or vacation time.
Well,
she
does that
won't.
mean that none of us have to ever, do I not ever have to use a sick day if I'm out sick? If I have surgery, well, I don't mean if I have surgery. So I don't ever need to use another vacation day or sick day?
If you just take off sick day and you don't have no.
I'm on salary, so
documentation
I don't need to ever
Understand.
use another sick day or a vacation day. Ever?
for it. Well, not if you got legitimate out sickness, like you had. Your back pay.
So if, I just wanna, so if Holly's out for 2 months because she had back surgery, the city should pay her regardless whether she uses sick time, vacation time, or anything,
She on salary.
to do nothing but sit at home.
No, that was never the policy.
Well, I don't.
Not at any other companies I worked at.
No, everybody I worked at had a short-term disability and long-term disability. That's what I'm saying, the short-term disability picks up where and long-term disability picks up.
But why would you need it if you're a salaried personnel and you're paid whether you're there or not? You just sit there and said that whether you're there or not, you
Yeah.
get paid. So why would you
You're not
even
paid
need to-
if you're not there. Number one, under the federal laws, you have the FMLA Act, Family Medical Leave Act. You have to abide by it also, and there's some restrictions there. If we need to get into that discussion, we'll probably need to get into that discussion because it opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah,
But
we're-
it applies to us, but
It
we
applies
don't
to
have,
you,
it-
too.
we don't have it, yeah, but we don't have the number of employees required. So it wouldn't, we're not eligible.
Well, to me, it's
For the
pretty
FMLA.
simple. I mean, the question to me is, she's gonna be out. That's a given. That's gonna happen. Do we want to allow her to accomplish her workload from home and pay her as we normally would? Or do we want to allow her to take sick days, vacation days, and sit at home and do absolutely nothing, still pay her, And whatever her workload is, either gets passed to somebody else or doesn't get accomplished.
I still agree with Holly that it's very clear. It's very clear. If you are unable to do any work whatsoever and cannot put in any work, then it needs to be a vacation or a
Well, I
sick day,
agree.
period.
I
That
agree to
day.
that.
But then, once she's able to perform her duties, just like what Holly did, you're able to log in what you've done, what you've accomplished, all that kind of stuff, to show, because again, this is taxpayers' money, to show that, yes, she worked this amount of time, these days, and all that kind of stuff, whatever, still continue doing her work, and then her be paid. I mean, it's
All
very
right,
clear.
well, it's not very clear.
It-
Let me propose this to you. Let's say Thomas is supposed to work 40 hours a week, but he spends 2 nights out on calls, so he can't come to work to do his codes job or his inspecting job. Who does it? We're not giving him comp time, so is he expected to work 60 hours a week and be paid for 40?
Under our current system, yes.
Well, that's ridiculous.
It may be ridiculous, that's why we're looking at a change in policy, and that's why we're discussing it right now. So let's go ahead and iron all this out. But what Holly was talking about earlier, when she had back surgery, when you worked from home, you took that accumulated work time that you had and charged it off, for lack of a better term, against your sick leave time.
Or
That-
vacation.
The
or
time that she
vacation.
wasn't working.
Yeah. Or your vacation time, thereby allowing for an extended period of sick days or leave. That's the logical conclusion of what the city, what Ms. Miller is asking. I'm assuming that's what you're looking at doing, and what Holly has done in the past. Holly's back surgery set a precedent years ago, and I think City Manager Miller is wanting to continue that precedent that was set with Holly when she was out. Am I incorrect or correct?
Well, yeah, if you put it that way, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Holly was using, if she worked 4 hours, she was getting paid for that 4
Yeah,
hours that
because
she
you
was
get,
working.
you get your salary when you're taking your sick days, okay, for the first week, or however long it is, when she's out for disability, when she was at her worst. And when Manager Miller is gonna be at her worst, right after the surgery, you're gonna have disability that you will be paid, I'm assuming.
No.
No, I just use sick and vacation, personal days,
Okay,
whatever.
what about-
We didn't have that back then.
Okay, you
But
haven't-
that I think only applies to an injury.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, well then,
I don't think it
all right,
applies
then
in
that's
this
off the
case.
board, that's
Yeah.
off the board.
Yeah.
So if that applies to an injury, that's under workers' comp section of the insurance policy we have, correct? All right,
Or if I was injured somewhere else.
okay.
Yeah.
So now what we're gonna do is, and as far as your employees giving you sick days, state of Tennessee does that all the time. They have a sick day bank, that people can actually log in.
Yeah, we've been down that road before, and that road
But
didn't
also, if
travel
you
well.
look at the second paragraph right here, you would have to change that policy.
Okay, well, let's not talk about that policy then.
Right.
Let's get back to the original thing, is if she has,
You have to address that.
how much sick time do you have left?
Right now, I believe by the time I have surgery, I'll only have 2 days.
Okay, so for 2 days, she's probably gonna use that sick leave for 2 days. On the third day, she's gonna start back working.
Well, vacation, she's got a week's vacation.
I got 48 hours of vacation time accumulated that I haven't taken.
But
so-
while she's working, think of that sick leave and vacation time as a bank that she's gonna draw from. But as she works from home, she's also gonna make deposits back into that
Thank you.
vacation
That's
and leave
exactly.
thing, is what she's gonna be doing. That's what Holly did. That's the way it works, to my knowledge, at the state level, at the corporate level, and every other city that I'm aware of. Now, is it muddy? Mr. Mayor, yes, it's really muddy.
Well, then, if that's what we're gonna do, then we do need to change that second paragraph. And we just as well do it now. There's no need in going through 2 reasons to change one paragraph and then next
Yeah.
month coming back to change the other.
Well, but I don't agree, and here's why. Here's why. It depends on what type of surgery they have and what capacity they can work. We need to be very
No,
mindful.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the sick days.
It's right here.
The sick-
Employees may not borrow against future sick leave nor transfer.
Can I clarify something back on when he said, I set precedence? I just wanted to clarify that I had enough sick time, vacation time, personal time, when I had both of my back surgeries. I did it to not burden the employees who
Well, I
were
agree.
here.
Yeah.
I said, I am more than able to work from home. If you guys can get the work to me, I will help as much as I can. And I just wanted to clarify.
No, I know that.
I didn't do it to set precedence. I had the time to take. I
No,
did it
I'm
to
not-
help the
yeah.
city.
I'm not saying that
So-
you were, I'm not saying you were
Right.
intent on setting a precedent.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, I just-
But it did set
Yeah.
a precedent, and it
But-
sets a precedent that, in my opinion, gives a pretty good model for what we're trying to accomplish here. That's why I was pointing it
Well, I
out to
just
you.
wanted to state, I had plenty of time to take, but I did it to help and not burden the people here. I did it to help the city, not.
And that's what I'm
Yeah,
proposing.
yeah, so I just.
Well, the way I look at it, if we have good employees, in which we do, we have very good employees. We have people that could have accumulated hundreds of hours of sick time only because they never miss a day. But then when something bad happens, they run out of sick time because the city didn't allow them to accumulate that many days. We fixed that problem. This is just another part of the problem that we need to address.
Well, then the second paragraph, what if you put something to the effect that if a person runs out of all their sick time and all their vacation time, then employees can anonymously, voluntarily give sick time or sick leave time that they've accumulated to the benefit of a fellow employee.
But they won't be able to do it anonymously because it.
Well, it needs to be limited, because the whole point of this paragraph is to keep any, in my opinion, was to keep anybody from
Misusing it.
misusing it, that's
And
it.
again, I don't think we need to change this, please correct me if I'm wrong, because the end of that paragraph says, only the governing body, by a majority vote, may make exceptions to the leave policy due to unusual or extenuating circumstances. Which means you all can make the change based on a case-by-case basis, if it's brought to you.
Which I think is what you did before.
Which
I
is
think
what
you
I've
made-
done before.
Yes.
That's fine with me. If that makes it legal for one employee to give a sick day to another employee, then I have no problem with that. Sick days are figured into our budget, are they not?
Oh, yeah.
So if we have 180 sick days for a year figured into our budget, why should for lack of better terms, if we have a person that is adversely affected because of a bad situation, and we have another person that never uses a sick day, why would we care if that person gives this person one of his days? or one
And
of her
that's
days?
something that you voted on once before, and again, it's on a case-by-case basis, so.
Now, I agree with what Keith said. We don't want the same person or same employee to say, well, I need 10 more sick days every year, or just to use up every sick day that might be in that bank. But I have no problem with, if one employee gets hurt, I don't have a problem with another employee giving a sick day or two.
Other than that, they're just, and I said this the last time we went through this, that any unused sick leave does go towards TCRS retirement credit for retirement purposes. So if they give it all away, then they
But
don't have that.
they can only give it away if this board allows it.
True, but they just need to understand that that is
So-
time that if they stay with the city and they retire, they lose that credit towards their retirement.
They're only allowed 180 days of sick leave that they can accumulate.
No, it's 11,
180 days, 1,440 hours.
right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah, and it used to be a lot less than
Oh,
that.
yeah, it used to be capped at
It used to be
What is it,
Yeah.
18, that's 18 days,
No, it's a 180 days.
180 days a year, they accumulate.
No,
No.
that's the total accumulation.
You might could cap an individual that can only give so much maybe, so they keep. Oh, you don't want that person to give all of their sick time to someone.
No,
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody in their right mind, if they had 10 days of sick time, I don't think they're gonna give all 10 of them at the first of the year to somebody else.
Why don't we break this to hours? How many hours would this board want to limit the number of sick leave hours that one employee gives to another employee?
How many sick days does an employee,
one a month.
one a month, so they get 12 a year?
Some of them have a lot of sick leave that they've never used, and some of them don't.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody giving up a fourth of what they had, or a fourth of what they can accumulate in a year. So,
So
I
I'm
mean-
talking, let's look at it differently. Let's not talk about what's an employee gives up. Let's talk about what a employee who's out will be allowed to receive from any one other employee or something. In other words, how do you prevent abuse of what we're trying to do?
I think you, on a case-by-case
That's still
basis, this
case by
board
case.
has to approve it.
Has to approve
I
it.
believe last time.
And I believe this
we
board would not
had
allow it.
Some people a week. Holly, am I right?
It was a week or two, yeah.
A week or
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Somebody
If
even
they-
gave vacation.
You know, they didn't give more than 2 weeks. So,
It-
10 days?
yeah.
In my opinion, if you've got 10 employees sitting out there that's willing to give 3 days apiece, they're not gonna be willing to give that to somebody that they think's abusing it.
Oh, I agree
In my
with you.
opinion. And this board's not gonna be willing to allow, in my opinion, somebody, one employee, to abuse that privilege.
But it doesn't hurt to make sure we have those cautions
Oh,
in
yeah,
place.
yeah.
And that's why I still believe that, as we've done in the past, it's on a case-by-case basis. I still believe
So,
that's necessary.
so the second paragraph is good to go the
It's
way it
good
is
to go.
now?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think so. And that way,
I'm
that
fine
just,
with it.
whatever the issue comes up, we have a chance to kind of review it and look at it. And
So how about if we, between now and our regular meeting, or the meeting that we're gonna vote on you working from home, we will address whatever the amount of hours or whatever the amount of days that can be given, we'll address that then.
Okay.
Everybody will have whatever time there
Well,
is
and
between the
and it's
meetings.
going to
to-
depend on how the surgery goes, if things go well or if it doesn't go. I mean, all of that's a
I
factor,
never
whether she's going to
expected
be able to go
to
back
have
to
to
rehab or
go
not, or.
on
all
3
that.
weeks of
Exactly.
being home when I first had this surgery. I mean, I
Well-
just came back to work Tuesday.
To me, it's an insurance policy. If something happens to Holly and she had to have back surgery again,
Well,
and she's sitting at home, able to do this, but she can't come here to do it, I don't care where she does this. If she gets her workload done, she could be in,
I get more
down on the
work
beach,
done at
all I
home
care.
than I do here.
as long as she can get her work done.
Can I go to the beach?
Say, Holly, you go ahead and go to the beach now.
Well, I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense to pay her sick days to sit at home and then pay somebody else to do her job, when she can sit at home and do her job and receive the same amount of money. It just doesn't make any sense. It won't work in every job. You can't fix a sewer pipe from home. My job, you cannot do from home. But there are some jobs that can be performed at home, if they need to be. That's my opinion, so. We'll go wherever y'all wanna go.
I think it's good the way it is. That's mine. I don't think it needs to be changed.
So, no changes to this sheet.
No.
Well, we have another work session where this will be addressed.
Not before the first
Not
vote?
before the first
Not
reading.
But not, I'm talking about after the first reading.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll look into it, and everybody else will, and we'll get some other input and thoughts about it.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Item number 4, ordinance 17-684, zoning amendment, Robertson County map 124, parcel 149.00.
Okay, Michael, tell us what's going on. Tell us all the details.
This is just a racetrack?
this is the racetrack,
Okay.
yes.
So
This particular parcel is just the racetrack property.
So the property owner requested for this, correct?
It is an action that both the city and the property owner agree to.
Okay.
To bring the property into conformity with the current standards of our zoning code.
Well, I just want to make sure that the property owner is aware.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, he is not only aware, but he has signed the application and the documentation. And just as a side note, in the rezoning ordinances, we are placing a whereas phrase in there that the property owner consents to the rezoning. So we're making sure that not only is it signed for, but it's documented that the property owner is not only aware, but in this case consents.
As long as he's aware, that's all that
Absolutely.
matters to me. Because I wouldn't want somebody to rezone property that they didn't know it, had been rezoned. A city rezoned property that he didn't know it, the person didn't know. I just want to make sure that all the property owners are aware of that. I mean, the property owner himself is aware of that.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else?
This was, as it states in there, the planning commission did make a recommendation for approval.
Item number 5, ordinance 17-685, zoning attachment, Robertson County map 124, parcel 030.00. Same thing?
This is the parcel across the street. Currently, it is a non-active farm. It's a residential R1 for development potential. Mr. Criswell, the owner of this, also is requesting, with our support, to a light industrial district.
And as long as use don't change, it will stay residential, correct?
It can, yes, sir. That non-conforming use is allowed to continue.
But once it's.
However, once it becomes conforming, it can't roll backwards.
Item number 6, ordinance 17-686, zoning amendment, Robertson County map 125, parcel 139.00.
This is a different property owner. This is the Barron family. They have 13 acres that are between Mr. Criswell's property on the north side of Kelly Willis Road and Gideon Road. I believe I've seen some legal descriptions that reference this as the old Millersville egg farm.
That's
No,
on
that's
the
on the
other
opposite
side,
side.
that's a ridge top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you come three-way stop, you turn left, and they're up there on the right side.
Okay. Well, first, in the legal descriptions, I'm very particular to make sure that we're including the legal descriptions in the ordinances and not just the parcel numbers, that it references. Anyway, nevertheless, this is the Barron family. They also agreed to the concept of light industrial surrounding the racetrack, and because of ridge tops, light industrial in that region being a fairly significant intersection, that whole area follows and continues our vision of a light industrial park out there.
Well, that don't actually touch ridge top anyway.
No, it's on the
That one
opposite
does
side.
not, no.
Anybody? Item number 7, discussion related to traffic light at Bethel Road and 31W.
That's Ms. Coleman's.
That's you.
That's me. I know that we had discussed about the red light. I know that we turned it down, or it was turned down previously, that we would have to fund it completely. But it is to a point when the time frame is between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. Here's what happens. You've got traffic going north on 31. You've got us backed up on Bethel Road. We cannot turn left whatsoever. And then when these cars slow down, they start to turn, then it backs up even more. So between 3 and 6 o'clock, it is a nightmare. If there are any accidents going on whatsoever, it's a nightmare. So I told Milton, I said, Milton, I'm behind your house constantly waving at you. And I'm having to because you cannot get out of that section between 3 and 6 o'clock. It is just, you sit there for a very long time. Let's put it that way.
Work from home, then.
Yes.
I do, I work from home. I do, but I have to go get my grandbabies, and they're up there with Newhall. So, and I know a lot of people are having this issue. So I don't know whether we can still do anything about it whatsoever if, you know, because I keep hearing that there's not a thing that we can do. And I know that somebody else had mentioned Slater's Creek Road as well.
Oh, yeah, there's things we can do. We can put the red light in ourselves.
Well, I know, but the funding, can we not get any MPO money?
We
Something.
Well, the bottom line was the state did their study and they concluded that there was no need for a traffic light. I don't know what time they did their study, but I know and I agree with you that there's an issue over there. And there's a big issue on Slater's Creek, especially in the morning. So then we were looking at OHM to possibly do their own study, and they didn't want to waste our money because,
That was in 2015, we had to look at it, and when I saw this was on the agenda y'all talked about it last time, I went back and forth the road. And we wrote a proposal to come and do a traffic study, but kind of what we told you was, look, we know what the requirements are to demonstrate the need for a signal, and just based on our experience and knowledge in the area, we didn't think that, we kind of predetermined that we thought the results were gonna be not what we wanted. We said, well, we'll do the study, and here's the fee, but we don't think it's gonna work out, so we kind of recommended that you all didn't do it. You didn't do it, so we kind of let it die. Now, things may have gotten worse since then. There's so technically to meet the requirements for traffic signal that FHWA would buy into, Federal Highway Administration, there's 9 warrants. Really, there's only 3 or 4 of them that you all would even consider qualifying for. 4, and hopefully we don't ever have to experience the 4th one. But the first 3 would be the 8-hour volume, the 4-hour volume, the peak hour, those are the 3. And the 4th would be crash experience. Basically, if you have a fatality, automatically you're eligible to put in a traffic signal. No one wants that to be the case. Sometimes that's how they roll. With the 8-hour, the 4-hour, and the peak hour, what you would have to do would be set traffic counters out there, the tubes across the road, and leave them out there for a week, and look at your busiest 8-hour window, and it has to meet that 8-hour window for, I think, 4 out of 5 days or 3 out of 5 days. I have to look. But it takes this many pages for the federal government to tell you when you need a traffic signal. We didn't think it was going to meet 4 or 8 hour. Now, we may be able to meet that peak hour, but you're talking about like 800 to 1,000 vehicles to go through that intersection within the hour.
Chief, what do you think? What is your opinion?
You get 800 an hour?
Only if they have a wreck on the interstate.
We have a rig on the interstate, there's no doubt.
Well, block the interstate and put the cameras out there.
800 vehicles, a lot of vehicles, but there are an awful lot of vehicles that, in the morning hours, between, I would say, 6:45 and 7:45, a lot of traffic in that area. And that's just, an hour window there, and in the afternoon, just like Mr. Holman said, there is a peak time right there where you can't get out on 31. If you want to turn left, you may have.
I remember seeing somewhere on a Sumner County site or something where and it's probably from 10 years ago, so from 2007, which obviously would be outdated, that the amount of traffic per day was only 3,300 cars per day. Maybe it was in '07 or '10.
And TDOT maintain, and both of these are state routes, so they maintain, that's called average daily
Yeah,
traffic,
that's-
ADT. They maintain that information, and I think we went and looked at it, and that's why we kind of said it's going to be really tough to demonstrate the need. We also talked about possibly just considering the left turn that you're talking about, and putting counters on Florence and Denson, and assuming that all those cars that any cars that travel down there, assume that those would be counted in that left turn as well, and we would just make the assumption that they're skipping that turn.
Because I don't mean to put in a can of worms, but if we cannot get a red light, I want to see those two other roads paved so I can use them. Because otherwise, it's just, there's so many potholes and all that, they're just awful. But we've got to do something, because, I mean, he knows, it's bad. And if we're not going to put a red light, then I want those paved so that people can go down those streets to be able to get out.
The other
So
thing,
it'll become more dangerous.
Well, it's not going to become more dangerous.
Because it will.
the other thing that
Well,
we did.
Then I'm gonna be the first accident there, and then that way we can get our red light. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen.
I mean, there's another
It's a
way.
nightmare.
Discussed 2 years ago when we talked about this, and I think it kind of went unresolved as to your all's position on it, was that you all can put a signal up. It's in your right of way. You don't have to justify these to do it. You can do it. But if you wanted to see funding or get TDOT's approval, closing those two roads at one end or the other would almost.
Oh, that was
would be
something
an
TDOT
absolute
said
condition
we had to do.
Of installing a red light, and they would have the authority to enforce that.
Is there, to receive MPO money for something like that, would it have to meet those guidelines he's talking about?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
How many of those points would we have to meet to do
You'd have
that?
to meet one.
Just
One
one?
of the
One of
other
the-
ones are, there's no school crossing, pedestrian volume isn't gonna apply, coordinated signal system, it would be the only signal, crash experience, which could, and it doesn't have to be fatal crashes, if you've got.
You got any crashes?
Believe it or not, I don't understand why. We have very few crashes.
But we've had some.
We've had some.
Probably not enough to qualify there, even the one we've had has been mostly, not.
Everybody is cautious there and they slow down.
Most of them I've seen so
Because
far
they sit
there,
there
they
forever.
run stop sign to begin with. I mean, that wasn't long ago where that girl running stop sign went right across at them telephone boxes over there. But there has been one fatality there that I know of.
Well, I know there's been several wrecks over the years at the end of Denson. Probably more there than at Bethel Road.
And I just know that the growth that we're still experiencing is going to continue. And so because of that, I do believe that it's eventually, we're gonna get a red light. It's just a matter of when. I'm just trying to propose that we get it now,
Would-
only because it's just so difficult.
Would you have, the information on how many there's been at Slater's Creek, how many accidents? Either one of y'all? No, I'm talking to that pair back there.
That pair back there.
Did you know that they were
I've been
Thomas
the
and
last
Mark?
few years, but there's been a lot more wrecks in Slater's Creek in 31 than there have been in Bethel.
Well, I know.
Say over the last 10 years, I'd say there's been a whole lot more in Slater's Creek than there have been in Bethel Road. And usually with the Slater's Creek wrecks are a lot more serious for some reason or other.
In some ways, you have the same problem down there is people use the parking lot for the gas station and the parking lot for the store as an escape route from sitting and waiting their turn to get out. They get impatient, they're in a hurry, and they think they should be in front of everybody else, so they skirt the sides, just like they do at Bethel Road.
Mhm.
Our sidewalks will stop
When
that.
we put the sidewalk in, they'll have to hop the curb to do it.
Well, they'll do it.
So in your opinion, for safety reasons, what do you think needs to be done? What can we do to help this issue? Or we just wait until we have more wrecks and then we get a red light? Pretty much, I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
We really need a traffic light at both intersections. It's just a matter of, when the city would be able to pay for it, if y'all want to move forward with it, or as bad as I hate to say it, waiting for those circumstances to arise, where the state steps in and says they need one.
I think if we put a stoplight in, we need to go on and close the lines for this one better. I mean, and if you put a stoplight in there, it's later, if you're gonna do something to the parking lot there. What's gonna happen is, when you put a stoplight up, they're gonna use off the roof to avoid the traffic signal.
But if you close them other two avenues, what's gonna happen when you have a wreck at that intersection? Where's the traffic gonna go then?
Sit there and wait your turn.
To the red light controller.
No, you can't, you can't move it. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, what's gonna happen is, if one stoplight there, you're gonna create if you don't do something about the two roads, you're gonna create another possibility of a future accident as well. So you're trying to solve one problem, but you're gonna create two more.
Well, I don't see that as a problem with them two roads there. That's just another avenue. Be the same as the interstate, run the interstate, just close 31, that's another avenue before we go that through there. You don't need to keep closing avenues. It's like on C. Smith over there, when it goes down through there, that street funds it, extra.
That's my opinion, I'm not trying to cause a problem, it's just my opinion.
Well, you have the same problem at C. Smith. I see it every morning. I eat breakfast up here at the restaurant every single morning. And when I come out, the school zone's on. And what do? You see cars jump on C. Smith up there at Ernest's house, zoom down the road, and then jump back out in the middle of traffic down here because they can go faster. And once again, they're impatient and they're better than everybody else, so they have to be in front and they can't sit and wait their turn.
Can you have a traffic light on peak use time?
But that's what I'm wondering.
They're already doing it now.
That's.
They're doing it right now, and there's not no issue with the traffic down there. I see it all the time. They go down through there, there's nobody setting the stop sign. And they still use that road.
But still, though, we're looking at putting in a light, and what was the cost that was supposed to be on it, do you remember, what, around 200?
No, it was 75,000, 50,000 for the light and 25.
Yeah, that was at the most, 75 was at the most.
So it's, but still, it was 200,000 though for two lights, right?
70 and 70 is under 40.
Yeah.
But I thought you said 25 for engineering too.
Well, if I'm an engineer, but I'm an engineer.
Yeah, I thought he already did that.
What would a traffic light cost total, start to finish,
These
roughly?
probably cost about 75,000.
Engineering, everything?
Everything? So 150 total?
So we're looking at 150. And if
That's
we,
if you wanted mass arms, if you wanted to just, like a pole with an arm that goes out, if you just put wires with, regular wood poles with wires, they could be 60 apiece.
so if we chose to spend the money ourselves to put the lights up, we still have to meet all the state requirements, correct?
You're gonna have to get TDOT approval because it's their roadway.
But, and it has, whatever they say is what we have to do, correct?
Correct.
I thought we had their approval the last time. They said that we
That's what
approved
their
it
letter said.
as long as we put it in, we had their
And
approval.
meet
I think
their,
they'll approve as long as you meet their specs. I don't think they'll make you justify the warrant. But I think they will make you close those roads.
Oh, yeah, they've already made that clear.
Well, let me speak right now, and I'll explain this to you. I called Mr. Trammell, and I talked to him and talked to Mr. Weber. Also, I asked them about that right there, about closing them roads, and they did not recommend it. I'm sitting there looking at it. I personally called them and asked them, and talked to them. He told me, he said it didn't meet the criteria at this time, but he said that Millersville elected to conduct an additional city-funded traffic study at the subject intersection using the city engineer or engineering consultant. Our office would be an object, not be an object. So if the city's still elected to do it, like he said, the city would pay for it. TDOT is not going to pay anything on it.
correct.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to both of them. I talked to the man, Philip Trimble, that actually done the survey himself, done it, and that's what he told me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we decide to pay, to put the lights in, we have to do whatever TDOT, what their specs are to put these lights in, we would have to conform to that, correct?
Yeah.
So the question is, do we want to spend $120,000 to $150,000 to put two lights in, or do we want to spend $75,000 to put a light in?
Let me ask you this then. So if there are more accidents down in Slater's Creek that are more serious, can we pull those accidents and see if there's any possibility that we can at least get Slater's Creek paid for? Would that be a possibility? You said there's been more accidents there, and you said that if we presented those, that might warrant for them to cover that.
What, how many accidents do you have to have in what period of time to meet that?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I have that right here somewhere. Let's see.
Because I know on Wimpson Road, Gillisville tried to get the state to put a light in over there for years.
5 or more reported crashes of types susceptible to correction by a traffic signal have occurred within 12 months, each crash involving personal injury or property damage exceeding requirements for a reportable crash. So you gotta basically have 5 in a year that could have been prevented with a light.
Well, that's what I was saying. Gillisville tried for years to get one at the end of Wimpson
Is
Road.
that possible?
They didn't get it until 2 people died over there.
Wow.
And that's unfortunately how a lot of traffic signals get put in.
Is that possible?
Mark?
Chief? So if you can pull those 2 situations to see if there's any possibility that we can get,
Which is what I was telling Chief King. I can almost bet we've had 5 within a 12-month period. The problem that I would have based on his wording, how would you prove that they could have been avoided with a light? Just because we have a crash at an intersection. How you-
Probably failure to yield.
yeah.
Or side
Out
impact.
in front of somebody else that's coming too fast.
Well, that's failure to yield.
Was that filed the previous year, within the last 12 months, or within any 12 months?
Within a 12-month period.
You need 12
Uh,
Any
months.
12, any 12?
So if I can't get my Bethel Road light, let's at least see if we get the Slater's Creek, and then once we have our 5 accidents, then we'll get the other.
Here's something else I would ask you to think about before you decide to spend that money. You said both intersections have methods that drivers can circumvent the light. They can go through the gas station, they can cut down Florence. If you put up a $80,000 traffic signal, that's gonna encourage people. I would do it. I'd cut the light. I mean, people
Yeah, but I'd park a police car there.
put up a no through traffic.
I'd make you pay a
Start
fine.
ticketing people in, be doing that.
That's how you prevent that, in my opinion. Because it is illegal to cut through that parking lot, to circumvent.
Absolutely. Yeah, but up here, these aren't signs for no through traffic, are they?
No.
I do not, I don't know. Are the streets up there have a sign for no through traffic?
No, they actually are still city-dedicated streets,
they're
aren't they?
actually
Yeah, I know
street.
that.
Yeah. They're through streets.
The reduced speeds,
Oh, yes, I think it's 20 mile an hour.
Yeah.
My only question is, on the lights, you seen that up there for Curry Road up there, 31? Are you talking about them lights would save, for instance, be 70,000, or would they be more? They're on pole,
Yeah.
but,
They're across span gas, like you're
Yeah.
on span wires. that
Yeah.
kind of
No, it's probably just gonna be the 60, I
The
bet.
span wire is, I mean, it depends, it's a T intersection, right?
yeah,
No, it's a complete
It's a-
No,
crosswalk.
it's a 4-way.
Four-way.
4 lights.
but it has no turning lanes in it at all.
Every situation is a little bit different, site conditions and number of lanes and all that stuff plays in. But span wires are almost always cheaper than mast arms for the same intersection.
What if you put a 3-way stop up at Bethel Road? It
That
won't
would-
work, but
It'd be hard to do.
It'd be a 5-way stop.
You could make those peak hour signals where, during the normal parts of the day, you had yellow flashing on 31 or red flashing on Bethel, and it operates just like it is now, and then at 3:30 to 6:30, it
Right.
becomes a time signal.
Exactly.
Well, I know afternoon, around 4 o'clock, when the traffic's going north heavy, people coming out of Bethel Road, they go right Bethel for 31, turn right to Dollar Store, they come right back, do the same thing. They're coming out of Bethel Road, going to Dollar Store, and coming back. I see that a lot in peak time.
So do you want us to get the information on crashes and come back to you at the
Yeah,
next work
Let's see
session
if we
and
can
look
get
at
it
that?
paid for, absolutely. If y'all don't mind doing that research. You know, because if we can save the city some money and pull that, and at least have one of them paid for, let's go ahead and see what we can do to do that. Absolutely. Because it's just a matter of time. It is a matter of time for both of them.
Is that all you need?
That's it. I'm excited. We're getting somewhere.
Is that all you need, Karen?
Yes, sir.
All right, item number 8, discussion related to city manager evaluation and contract renewal. Anybody have any thoughts?
Vacation time, why are we upping vacation time? 3 weeks and 4 weeks plus an additional 5 personal days.
Well, all of your other city managers all started out with 3 weeks of vacation and then worked their way up. I personally had to use my vacation time for sick time, and have not really been able to take a vacation. If I was to go by the personnel manual, I would not get 3 weeks vacation until my 4th year, Holly? Or 5th year?
3 weeks, I think, is now 8 years.
That's right. It's the standard within city managers, basically, to get the 3 weeks up to 4. I can't carry over more than whatever the personnel manual allows, which is something that the previous city managers
What
were
did-
able to carry over unlimited.
What is the carryover now?
You can only carry over
What
10
you
days per year. But you have to use them that year or you lose them.
No, you can carry over 3 weeks.
You can carry over as many as you receive and are receiving.
Mm-mm, we have a limit.
3 weeks.
That is your limit. If you receive 3 weeks, and you have 3 weeks in the bank, you can't put no more in the bank.
What if you have 4 weeks?
You
You
can
can,
put,
yeah.
if you have 4 weeks, then you can qualify for the 4th week in the bank. But until then, you can't put the 4th week in the bank.
So if you have 4 weeks, you can carry over 4 weeks?
You can have 4 weeks now, you can only have 4 in there. If you've already got 3 in there, and you get 4 weeks, you can put 1 more week in there, but you gotta take what you have. You can only add up to the amount of vacation that you're receiving.
So if I have 3 weeks vacation time that I'm due a year, at the end of the year, I haven't used any of it, I cannot carry any of that over to the next year?
Yes, you can, but if you already had 3 weeks in the bank, you can't carry it over.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you hadn't taken a vacation for 2 years,
Right.
is what he's saying.
So, but you're saying you can only carry over a maximum of 3 weeks at any time?
That's what
Or
our
what you
personnel
receive.
manual does.
Or what you
Well-
receive, like Holly, if she gets 4 weeks,
Yeah.
then she can she can have 4 weeks in the bank.
No, I can't. I can only carry over 3. But I will say this, now, in looking at this, and I think you and I talked about this the other day. In all my years here, the city manager has been exempt from the personnel manual. If she's under contract, then it's up to y'all to decide on her vacation and sick leave. It should
Pursuant to
not
the
be in
contract.
compliance with, yes, it should not be in compliance with personnel manual at all.
Exactly.
So that she should be considered separate under contract, not personnel manual. I think the first page states that you're exempt from the
Yes, it
personnel
does.
policy. So, that's just FYI.
So,
But I'm the one who's choosing to follow the restrictions in the personnel manual as far as the rules are concerned.
But as far as this commission is concerned, we need to read this contract as a whole without giving any effect to the personnel manual, because this contract is what governs our relationship with the city manager, not that
Right, yeah.
personnel contract.
yeah. But if it references the personnel manual in the contract, then it does, you do need to take in effect whatever the
Right,
personnel
correct,
manual
correct.
says. Does every employee get 5 personal days?
No, that
that's what
was
I'm
part of
saying,
our,
right. And-
employees get 2.
Yeah, none of, this doesn't really apply to any of
Okay.
us, so it's just her. We'll get 2 a year.
Okay, this
I told you those
December,
were my sanity days I requested.
this will be your 3rd anniversary this December.
Yeah. When I was first hired, and because you weren't here, I opted to go ahead and go with whatever the rest of my staff got. And the only thing I asked for at the time was 5 personal days. I called them my sanity days. But the contract wasn't written to really reflect all that. And when I sat down on it and really looked at it, for example, the contract has that I would earn half a day per month. At the time, that's all the employees earned for sick leave. We never changed that in the contract or anything else. So this was my way of cleaning it up and making it clearer, especially when I found out that I wouldn't get 3 weeks until I was here 8 years.
And that changed a few years back, because I'm under a different policy.
You're under a different
But also,
policy.
way back when too, the other previous city managers we had were always given more sick leave up front, and may have been on the same vacation policy we were on. That might have been the way it worked.
Mhm.
Because I think Robert got, and Ellie, I think, the last 2, they got more sick leave in the beginning, but the vacation, I don't remember if it was.
It was the other way around. They got more vacation. They got 15 days of vacation, and they got the same amount of sick leave as you all did. I reviewed the contracts.
I don't think they got the same sick leave, because back then, we only got 4 hours a year.
And that's what I mean.
I mean, a month, and I think they got at least 2 weeks
Mm-mm,
of sick leave.
mm-mm.
I think they've always been under separate policy. They've never complied with our policy, is what I'm saying. Never. It's
So-
never been the same.
So am I correct, that if I'm looking at this correctly, we're saying 7 weeks and 2 days, potentially? Because I'm looking at 20 days of vacation time
That's 3 weeks.
That's after the 4th year.
That's our 4th
after
year.
the 4th year.
That's 4 weeks.
So now you'd
That's
be
4
15,
weeks.
it'd be 3
Plus
weeks.
And
5
then
personal
plus
days.
12, that's
That's
gonna be
another
12
week.
sick days
Which everybody gets.
and 5 personal days.
Yeah, so you're
So
getting 5
after that,
personal
that's
days.
7 weeks and 2 days.
Now,
That's
understand,
32 days.
You're getting, she would be getting 5 weeks of personal
Be 32
vacation time,
personal leave.
15,
personal
12,
leave.
27, 5.
The only difference is, those 5 personal days don't carry over year to year. If I don't use them, I lose them. Sick time is there to be used whatever I need it. When it comes down to vacation time, if I don't use it by the 2nd year, I lose it. Whereas previous city managers were able to accumulate it ongoing with no limits.
I come up with 6 weeks and 2 days.
Okay, so there's 4 weeks vacation after.
That's the 4th year.
Right,
Fourth year.
that's 4th years.
Well, we're talking about the next year, would be 3 weeks.
It's 3
Well, I
weeks.
know, but it's already in here for 2018. We've got it written here, right?
Yeah, it's part of the contract.
So it would be 6 weeks and 2 days for the next year. And then for the year after that, it
In
would be
2000.
7 weeks and 2 days.
Correct, 7 weeks and 2 days. Okay, so here's what I have to do, because it's not, it's just the position that I'm looking at, but that's a lot of time. That's a whole lot of time. So I need to compare that to what other cities are doing for their city managers to justify. This part I don't have a problem with, the 3 weeks plus the 5 personal days as much, but the 7 weeks and 2 days per year. that's-
You're
that's
counting
all.
sick time too?
I'm counting sick time. I am counting sick time. That to me is a lot. That's a whole lot. And that's just from what I've seen in the past from other different positions. So I have to justify that with seeing what other city managers are getting currently. So if you can get me that, I would greatly appreciate it before I can, yeah.
I'll have that ready.
Yeah.
Let's go through another work session. No.
My contract is up December 1st.
Because I do know this, that we've already looked at, your salary is not comparable to what other cities are currently paying. I do know that. So, if we can get that information as well, you know, that, I think that would help to know what they're getting currently as far as the salary and how many vacation, sick time, and personal days, and that way we can kind of compare, and that way we can help. I think that would help me understand how to vote on that.
It's less than what we was paying 4 years ago.
A lot less.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I would like to have those numbers so that if we have residents coming in asking about all that, we have that documentation of what's happening, so that we can definitely see numbers for numbers based on what other cities are paying.
That's fine with me. I think, based on what I know about city managers, I think you're gonna find out that we're way behind on the salary side of it.
Well, that's what we need to look at. That's exactly what we need to look at.
Let's look at everything as a whole.
Yeah.
If we're negotiating an employment contract, we need to do our due diligence, just like Commissioner Coleman would do if she was selling a house. We need to look at this contract, and we need to make a decision based on what is best for the city and Ms. Miller, and any, I guess, disagreements, try to adjust them and to negotiate them.
Fine with me. Does the board have any particular cities that they would like the information to come from?
I think we should look at cities comparable in size to us.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to be looking at Hendersonville or.
Well, what I'm saying
something like
is,
that.
if we don't tell her which cities, there will be talk about that at the next time we discuss
Well,
it.
when we did the salary survey for everybody, city manager was included in that. Okay, so I can pull that information.
That's,
That's perfect.
that's what I'm saying, it included Metro and other cities. If there's particular cities that we want to look at, we need to tell her which cities that we want to personally look at. If one of us has a city that we want to compare to, then she needs to know that.
But that's what she did in that salary analysis. Those cities were showing somewhat comparable to this city.
Metro is not comparable.
Metro's not comparable. That's
Well-
that's one of them they had.
But Metro doesn't have a city manager.
But that's what I'm saying. Will avoid a lot of people saying, well, we don't compare to that city. If anybody at this table has a particular city they want to be comparing to, now is the time to ask for that particular city.
Because you can have a city in East Tennessee.
I'd say compared to White House, they're bigger than us, but look at White House, they have comparable economic growth, et cetera, et cetera. And that'd give us an idea. I would say that probably Ridgetop and Greenbrier.
They don't have city manager.
They don't have city manager, will they have city administrators?
No.
They have mayor.
They have a mayor. What about the city of Portland? They have an administrator or
They
mayor?
have a city mayor.
Okay.
But even that, we're not comparable to Portland.
No, we're not comparable, and that's too far north.
We're really, if you compare it to White House, they've got a lot more economic growth than we have.
Yeah, and we have, that's the consideration we'll look at. So obviously, with the economic growth they have, they should probably be paying 5% more to the city manager.
Comcast can get those.
I think MCAS has some,
Comcast
yeah,
They do
MCAS
the
has some numbers.
benefits,
Well, and
thing
so does
every year.
TCMA.
Can they break them out city numbers instead of
They do it by population. I
percentage
think.
numbers? I mean, I don't want them to take 10 cities and lump all the cities together and then come up with an average, is what I'm saying.
I would like to see by population and by, I guess, the median income range would be the two areas that I would like to have a comparison. In other words, Millersville median income is what, 54 or something like that according to the state? What
Yeah,
other
it's
cities?
50-something.
What other cities have that same median income that's approximately the same size?
say White House, but, so. We're closer than you think to White House's population.
The same size. I don't know if they do the, their, I don't think they do they may have, I've not ever seen it on the median income, but they do by population.
The state treasurer's office has got it.
The only thing I'm saying is every time
That's right,
that
no,
we
MTS
have,
can get it.
every time we have tried to compare ourselves to somebody else, it never works out. So,
Well, it may not work out, but it's the only gauge that we have available to us, so we have to do a comparison.
oh, I agree, I agree
And we can
100%.
accept it or not accept it.
If there's a particular city that anybody wants, I'd like for her to know that.
Well, I don't think Kingston, Tennessee should be one of them.
Well, I think if you go to MTS and ask them, I think that's where we need to get that information.
That's where the other information comes from.
Well,
Yeah, you got like Nolensville, town of
I know.
Nolensville, I mean, but that's part of,
What
is it
about
Williamson
Bellevue?
County?
Yeah,
I mean, they're
Bellevue.
very wealthy.
but still though.
But there's not a lot of cities that have city managers, the size that we are.
Right,
No.
but
Yeah.
still
You have
though,
to go outside
we're
of
gonna
Middle
know
Tennessee.
whether it is Nolensville based on that. I mean, we can still
Yeah.
kind of judge based on whatever city is listed and come up with a conclusion that we can all agree upon. I mean, but we've got to have some kind of basis to be able to, like you said, gauge that. We have to, there's got to
I
be
was
some
going
kind
to
of.
say, towns within 19-mile radius of downtown Nashville that have the same population as us.
You're not gonna find it.
Yeah,
I know we're not.
Let's find one. Here.
we've got to have something to base it on. We have to,
You know where to go? That's all I
You can
care.
get it.
okay?
That'll work.
All right, Resolution 17-R-17 to initiate the process of territory swap for EMS service delivery.
White House, Portland and us have been meeting. Actually, they originally met with both counties and realized that they should actually bring us into this too. And while I was convalescing, I was able to go to meet twice with them on the phone. And basically, what we're trying to accomplish is better service from EMS for everybody concerned. Portland has a Sumner County unit within their city. We have a Sumner County unit within our city. And White House has Robertson County unit within their city. Now, if a call comes in from Robertson County for EMS for us right now, it would have to come from Ridgetop or from White House. Whereas if, and Portland has the same problem, because they're both Robertson and Sumner. What has been proposed is swapping territories, letting White House be serviced only by Robertson County, including their Sumner County side, which is about 6,000 residents, and then have Millersville be serviced by Sumner County for both Robertson and Sumner counties. EMS is all for this, both counties are for this, they've run some preliminary numbers. It's going to be pretty much a wash as far as calls for service. But in order for the county to really look at this seriously, they have asked us to pass a resolution that says we want to initiate the process and look into it further. If everything goes well and we can accomplish this, we're looking at July 1st of next year. I have spoken with both chiefs. They think that it's definitely better for our service delivery to our residents.
Amen to that. I have to say
What
that.
about response time?
And it'll improve
Yes.
response time.
What
big
about
time.
this new system in Gallatin?
That's what's prompted all of this, because of the fact that we finally consolidated. It's all gonna come out of one area. For example,
Even the
White House,
Robertson, is Robertson County communicating with Sumner County, is my question.
as far as I know, they are. There are still a few glitches.
I mean, that was, back years ago when I was here before, that was one of the problems that we had, was the communication between Robertson and Sumner County, and us being caught in the middle of it.
Well, the only problems we're having right now is the map not validating. There's a big, huge map. But other than that, communications between Robertson and Sumner, there's no problem, is there, guys? That I know of.
What kind of communication issues are you talking about?
The emergency communications.
Are you talking about from 911 to 911, or are you talking from agency to agency?
In 2007, 8, 9, and 10,
Yeah.
we had some problems up on top of the ridge.
And the reason why I say that is, from agencies talking into Sumner County on radio, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, that's an issue. As far as 911, they've had some issues with fixing them. This is working, like you said, they are talking, they're actually trying to fix and speed up the times. If you're talking about transferring a 911 call from Robertson to Sumner, we're still having a few issues here and there, but it's getting better. Every day, better today than it was yesterday. All right, that is getting better with their transferring of the calls and things like that. The two dispatch centers have actually sat down and met to fix it. And communication's getting better.
Yeah. I don't oppose this, but I think all us commissioners need to be aware of what he just said about the communication problem that was existing years ago and that's looking to be improved, but obviously still has not improved.
Okay, well,
Now,
just,
this whole system here, I will tell you, in my opinion, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Right now, here's what happens. We get a call in Robertson County, the Sumner County ambulance sitting at Station 2 cannot respond to her neighborhood, which is
to
right
me,
across the street.
exactly.
To his neighborhood, which is right across the street. We got a lot of citizens that have to wait for somebody coming in. We have no radio communications with Robertson County unless we talk to them on their paging channel if they're monitoring that paging channel. Once we make the swap, because we communicate with Sumner County, we actually have their frequencies in our radios and we have the direct communication with them. Our two dispatchers are back to back. So now they're actually doing what they call simulcasting with us. As they send an ambulance, they're also paging us at the same time, giving us the same traffic. So this is the best thing that happened scenario-wise with this situation.
Yes.
Our citizens are going to get better service out of this than what they're getting now.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Here's-
in 2010, I advocated what we were talking about now, getting Sumner County to respond to Robertson County. And after advocating it, I was told it couldn't be done. And now, if we can go that route, I'd love to see it happen, but are those same obstacles that existed in 2010, you're saying they're melting away finally?
Yes, what happened, part of that was with the centralized dispatch, because what happened when White House went with Robertson County centralized dispatch, that kind of helped them out a lot better than when we went with Sumner County, and Sumner County actually went consolidated, because part of it was the dispatching. All right, whenever we went to a consolidated dispatching, a lot of the issues that was, and this is what I've been told that was happening back then when they were trying to do it, a lot of those issues have went away. A lot of the commissioners and the people, the major players are in there see that this is a better for the citizens of both sides of the county. Because you have that ambulance station in White House right now, and Portland and Millersville have Sumner County station there, that you're getting better service to the citizens, and people realize that's the key. And it boils down to money. All right, it boils down to which ambulance service is going to lose the most amount of money. Well, when they run the numbers, like Ms. Miller said, it's basically a wash. So everybody that they're looking, they're actually, everybody's for it. I sit there beside Keith Douglas in the meeting, and talking to him, and he's for it, talking to Russell, they're like, yeah, this is, honestly, look at the numbers, there's no reason why this not to happen.
Yeah, and even in our case though, because we have had some issues, I would even rather be delayed a few minutes to have them come across the street and be there in 10 minutes as opposed to 5 because there's some delay, than for them an hour to come out of Springfield. 'Cause
Oh, I agree with you.
That's what was happening. When we had ambulance service in our neighborhood, you know, we're 45 minutes to an hour before we got into service, whereas they were right across the street. Right across the
I'm just
street.
happy to hear that the obstacles
I'm
that existed in
I'm
2010
thrilled.
are at least going away, at least reasonable minds are coming to a reasonable conclusion.
And I think that's what's happening. If you're not the only one talking about the obstacles, even Chief Palmer told me, man, it ain't Well, when we said in that meeting, I was just
Yeah, he
very
remembers.
encouraged talking about with everybody, and I'm just tickled to death at this point.
I think we should, I support the resolution.
Val? Update from city manager.
Okay, we received our paving bids for this year's paving. It'll be on your next agenda to approve the bid for the lowest bidder. And hopefully we can start the paving.
Can you also supply a list of what's gonna be paved?
Yes. The expansion of this building, did you want me to put it on the next agenda for y'all's discussion? As far as, who is going to do the engineering?
It's fine with me as long as they want to discuss it. Might as well.
Yeah, we need to discuss, absolutely.
You
Do
talking
you
about
want
the-
it at the meeting, or do you want it at a work session?
I thought it was gonna be on this work session.
Yeah, I
to
thought it was
honest
gonna be
with
on
you.
this one.
We can discuss it, there's open discussion.
Does anybody have a preference of the two that was presented?
I'm still looking at what was provided me. I have a preference, but I'd rather not say what it is, but in looking at everything, I think we can come to a conclusion. I think we can all agree on a conclusion.
Hold on, let me go to Rich before we conclude. If we agree, are we gonna conclude
No, we're gonna do it at the next meeting.
at the next meeting?
I would like time to study it a little more.
Okay. We can do it at the next work session.
Well, I still would like to, I mean, I'd like us to discuss it in detail, though.
Tonight?
Well, I mean, even not tonight, if we're gonna do it at the next meeting or work session, but, I want us to see us moving forward as quickly as we can.
Well, do we want to discuss it at the next work session or the next regular meeting?
I think work session would be better.
Yeah, I'd rather discuss it next work session.
It'd be fine, yeah.
You feel all right with that?
Always.
We'll wait now we'll take a short pause. Do you have the paving bids, what they were?
Off the top of my head.
It don't matter. It don't matter. I thought you might have it on a sheet of paper.
I do.
30 as you
remember
are,
that.
you can take a shower while you're in there.
I might.
Let's do that shade too.
Well, just for the record, I like part of both of the presentations.
I did too.
I think, whichever one we go with, there'll have to be
Some adjustments.
items taken from one and put into the other, in my
That's-
opinion. Now we're just waiting on David.
Oh, so he went out too, okay, I hope it's that. You ever get long-winded almost every time? You're long-winded. I mean, when
Well, I disagree. I don't think we discussed some of this stuff enough, in my opinion.
But it's because of your personality, you're a type C. You know what a type C is?
What's
Oh, I
that? I'm waiting to hear. I can think of several things.
There's a whole profile thing on people's personalities.
Oh,
and
I
you're
thought
in
it
those
was-
one of 4 categories based on the disc profile.
Well, what's type C?
Well, you're usually a combination of things, but you're high D and you're a high C.
I do,
I
I
would
see.
expect you to
I
have,
see, isn't that a drink?
I would expect you to have,
I can see him as, a high
So
D.
what are you? What are you?
I'm a little bit of all of them.
I can see him as a high D.
I have no idea what y'all are
I
talking
just say,
about.
I think
I don't
we're on
either,
the
but-
opposite ends of whatever the measurement is.
I
is what
disagree.
think.
I don't
See
agree
there,
with that.
he disagrees again.
I think Bonnie and I tend to agree that there needs to be more discussion.
It's, except when you're talking about breezeways.
We got past that.
That is never gonna go away, is it?
Not as long as I can remember.
All right, so everybody's gonna be prepared to talk about City Hall at the next work session, correct?
Yes,
Anything else?
yes. We budgeted for a street sweeper, and we've held off for 2 years to get a bucket truck. And we found one in Greenbrier. It's a used one. It's $25,000. We actually had a hydraulics mechanic come out and take a look at it, check it out. And except for some very minor things, it's a 2004. We've got the report. Jerry, do you have, did you get the
service records.
service records? We have the service records of this particular piece of equipment. We would be the third owner. And what I'm proposing, thank you. Wow. What I'm proposing to do is put off the street sweeper and get the bucket truck instead at this point. We will not have to change the budget or anything, but this is something that we have needed for quite a while. Every time that we have to change a light bulb, every time that we have to do something with the flagpole, every time paint City Hall, we wind up having to pay somebody else to do it because we don't have a bucket truck. Every time a tree falls onto our streets, we have to pay somebody to, finish bringing it down and everything else. We've got several trees on Williamson Road that need to come down. We've already gotten a quote for 3 of them. It's already $700. It just keeps adding up and keeps adding up, when our crews can actually use the bucket truck for all of this. I'm just gonna throw this one out there because this is what my preference is. Once we get the sidewalks in, somebody's gotta put those beautiful banners up. Okay, that can be used for that. And again, the biggest thing is the trees and the brush that needs to be cut. I remember last year, when we had, last year, not last year, the year before, when we had the big snowstorm. And we were out there, and the guys were literally standing in the back of their pickup trucks with a huge pole saw trying to get these limbs down before they came down and crashed on everybody, and couldn't reach them. And I'm sorry, but the only way that it actually happened was, I remember Jerry actually getting on top of the cab of the truck and was able to reach only one. That is very unsafe, and we shouldn't be putting our people through that. They have been very patient with me about, a new one would be $90,000, but this is a good used one that is gonna last us quite a while, has a good record and a good recommendation. I'd like to be able to go ahead and get the truck and put that street sweeper aside.
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, I think we should approve the bucket truck.
I mean, you guys can't vote on it tonight, but I would appreciate some consensus if
Okay,
that was
so
there.
the brush truck was budgeted for how much?
Sweeper.
The sweeper, excuse me, sweeper.
40, I believe.
40, yeah.
Oh, no, more than that.
No, more than that.
120 or 130, from what I remember.
Okay, so instead of that, we're gonna get,
I want to get this.
Instead of spending $140,000 on a
Well, I know,
street sweeper, we're gonna spend 25 on a bucket truck that we can
okay,
use.
yeah, I like that.
And then we'll have the other money. We can get the street sweeper, getting a spring next year.
Or we can buy a
Or we
used.
can buy a used one, because we budgeted for,
Okay,
so
Very
I'm
good.
just trying to stretch our dollars.
yes, absolutely.
I know with fire chief, we had an issue with some lights, and he was trying to find somebody to come and change them lights out, had to have a bucket truck. And there are some lights in the city that, only way you get to them with a bucket truck.
And if you rent one, it's over $100 an hour.
And, we said, back then, that we need to start looking into getting one.
Well, and I tell you what, this guy was offered $25,000 in cash on Friday. And I told Jerry, I said, you tell him to do whatever he needs to do, because I can't do anything unless I take this to the commission. And I'm still a believer, a man of his word is a man. And he told Jerry that he gave us his word that he was gonna hold on to it until I was able to bring this to you. So he did not sell it. If y'all had opted against it, then he would have gone to the other person. So to me, a man of his word is a man, is the way I'm putting it.
Yeah, that seems like a good deal.
Thank you. That's it.
All right,
I said for one.
general discussion? Bill? Don?
Well, I'm still on this architectural thing, of course, we're not gonna discuss this in the next work session, so. Right.
No, I'm good.
I don't have anything. Motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
All those in favor? We're adjourned.